Ambassador Terry Miller joins us now, director of the Heritage Foundation Center for International Trade and Economics, to follow up on that. And from your perspective, Ambassador, what would a win look like for President Trump after tomorrow night's dinner?
I think there are a couple of things that are very significant that China might be in a position to offer the United States at this time. One would be progress on intellectual property. We've had an awful lot of problems with thefts of intellectual property, and the Chinese have expressed some willingness in the past to take action against that. Another area is on forced technology transfer, where I think the Chinese might be willing to change their policies. On the other hand, China spent, decades investing in a centrally planned system, and they're not going to be willing or able to unravel that in the short run. But perhaps we can get started on a pathway at this meeting.
I want to ask you about that because I find it, and we're looking at some of the tariffs that are in place. To get to that in just a second. But on the forced transfer of technology, or on the stealing of intellectual property, those are huge issues for American companies. But I find it hard to believe that a Chinese negotiator would basically say, "Hey, you're right. You know what? You got us. We've been stealing for years, and we're going to just change, and we're not going to steal anymore." I mean, how does the diplomacy around that work? You're actually asking them to essentially admit they've been stealing from us.
Well, China has in the past already agreed that there have been problems in this regard. They've changed their laws in some respect. They've signed on to international ideas that intellectual property needs to be protected. They just haven't implemented their previous commitments very well in this. So it's not a huge step for them to say, okay, we're going to do better. We're going to put more resources in this, and we're going to solve these outstanding cases in favor of the U.S. companies right now.
But you say there's a reason to keep an eye on them if they do say that, because if they haven't followed up in the past, what's to say that they'll say something, tomorrow night and then maybe not follow up in the future? Now, on the U.S. side, what will President Trump be willing to give on, do you think? Is it the tariffs going from 10 to 25%, hold off on that? Or does that go into effect no matter what, and he just holds off on the new tariffs on $267 billion worth of goods that he's threatened?
Well, I think there's certainly the possibility he could hold off on the new tariffs that are threatened to go into place January 1st. And that's something that China would be, I think, very happy to see not happen.
Right.
On the other part, I think the administration will want to keep pressure on China, and that's appropriate. You're right that we haven't seen China live up to its commitments in the past, and we're going to take, I think the administration will take a much stronger approach towards holding China's feet to the fire in any agreement going forward.
It does seem, as a final point, that the optimism ahead of this, to what Liz Clayman was reporting and what others are saying throughout the day, has been building. So people are now expecting something. What odds would you put on a complete blow-up, on nothing happening this weekend? Is it very low odds now, do you think? Or?
I think given the things we've heard from both the president and from Ambassador Lighthizer, there's a pretty high probability that we'll have some kind of reasonably positive outcome to this. I would be very surprised if there were a huge blow-up and a negative outcome. The president has his entire trade team down there.
Yep.
And I would be surprised if that group collectively would allow this to just degenerate into an all-out trade war with all the negative consequences that would flow from that.
Including a market reaction as soon as, Monday morning or Sunday night. Ambassador,
Indeed.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.